Welcome to Round 5 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of August 29th. I'm Catherine Aleko, and I'm here with Terry Morrow.
Hello.
And Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
Yay! We have missed her so much, and we've missed all of her recommendations. So she is back.
So no pressure at all to make this a
yeah, better be good.
Uh-oh.
Today, we are taking a break from talking and complaining and obsessing, and instead shouting out things other people are doing that we think you'll find as useful or enjoyable as we do. We call this our Roundabout Roundup, and it looks like this week we're going to have an entertainment theme. I will start. I just recently got to see the Broadway show Mean Girls. So yes, this is based on the movie from 2004, the Lindsay Lohan movie. So Tina Fey, who was involved in making the movie, was involved in turning it into a Broadway show. And I saw the touring production. I didn't fly to New York and see it on Broadway. But the funny thing is, so at the beginning of the show, you get a little recorded message from Tina telling you to turn off your cell phones and that sort of thing. And she says, and don't, please don't record or, don't take any pictures or recordings. And she said, you don't have to record it. It was already a movie. But then in the playbill, I read that Tina Fey is working on making this musical version into a movie. So it was a movie
and will be again.
And it will be again, yes. But anyway, the musical version was a lot of fun. It has some great music, which you can find, on your various streaming services, I am sure. It has, there's a great song called Apex Predator about, the girl Queen Bee as an apex predator, and another great song called Revenge Party. So there's lots of good music, and the story is very true to the movie. They don't take a lot of liberties with what's going on in the movie to the musical. So my son, my theater child, and I enjoyed it a lot, although he had critiques. He did not appreciate the use of video backdrops. He felt like, even though they had lots of cool stuff with the staging, like where they had bathroom stalls, like on wheels that would, come rolling in for whatever scene they needed them. And, and there was one part where they were taking a piece of scenery off the stage, and one of the characters was on it. The one, Karen, the dim one of the of the three girls, and she said, "Is this room moving?" Yeah, so anyway, it was a fun outing, and I recommend the show and the music from Mean Girls.
Nice.
And how about you, Nicole? What are you recommending today? We've been waiting with bated breath.
I don't know if this is going to appeal to anybody, but the Canadian in me came out, and my husband found this series on the History Channel, and it was just one that we were scrolling through. We found it anyway. It's called Alone. And it's a reality show, and it's when they take, I think like 10 or 11 people who profess to be survivalists and can handle, being alone out in the wilderness for a certain amount of time. And so this particular one that we were watching was set in British Columbia, Canada. So that was the big appeal, because it was like, we know that area. And it was called Alone, and then the subtitle, On Grizzly Mountain. So, of course, we're like, ooh, that sounds interesting. So anyway, it just kind of follows these people, and the idea is to stay the longest alone out in the wilderness, fending for yourself. They don't have access to food, or they have to find their own food and build their own shelter. And surprisingly, it held my attention. I was just like, normally with reality shows, I get bored and then I just go to the internet and find out who wins and what's going on. But I don't know. I don't know if it was the scenery or the grizzly bears, because they had a lot of grizzly bear action going on. But yeah, it just kind of like, I was like, this is actually pretty good. And you could tell that, I mean, there's a lot of edited parts, obviously, but there was a lot of seemingly unedited. So it was good to watch.
So it's a series. Like you said, every season is one place and one group.
It's kind of like Survivor.
Yeah.
But I guess it is kind of, they have to, but they don't do challenges or anything because they just have to be able to.
They just have to survive
in this like extremely hardcore environment. Like it's not like they're on a desert island.
Right.
Like they're the different weather changes and whatnot. And wildlife, all kinds of wildlife. So yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of fun. And the other thing too is that they were all Americans that were transplanted. And that kind of made us laugh because it's like, okay. A Canadian would know how to deal with this. So that was the other part of it. It was kind of like a sport watching it because we're like, oh, well, we could have done this better.
Right.
So anyway, not probably what you would expect from me, but I was going back to my roots.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you. And how about you, Terry? What are you recommending?
Well, a while ago, I recommended a podcast called Naked Lunch, and they recently had an episode on which the guest was Lyle Lovett, and I tweeted about that episode that it reminded me that I haven't been listening to enough Lyle Lovett lately, and Lyle Lovett himself or his PR person or his like bot liked my tweet, and then I thought, I really have to go listen to a bunch of Lyle Lovett now.
Wow.
But, he has a new album out called 12th of June. It's been like about 10 years since he's put one out, and it's delightful, of course, as is all his stuff. The two songs on that one I particularly liked were called 12th of June, same as the album name, and On a Winter's Morning. Those are just particularly enjoyable. But although there's a song called Pants is Overrated, which is fun also, and has a fun video with it. So very much enjoyed listening to his new album. And then I just kept bringing up albums on Apple Music and going through all his albums from the beginning up till now. And it was so fun, and I remember so many of the songs, and I just really loved listening to them again. There is so much music. There's so much new music. There's so much old music, and you can go a long time without listening to somebody whose music you really love. And when for some reason something prompts you to go do it, it's like, I've lost all this stuff, and now it's back. Right. It's back in my brain. Thank you. So if you have enjoyed Lyle Lovett's music in the past and have not connected with it recently, I strongly recommend listening to his new album and then just diving right into his whole body of work and listening to it again. You've missed it, I assure you. And if that's not your cup of tea, then think of somebody else you haven't listened to in a long time whose music once meant a lot to you. Go look at some old CDs you've never touched for years, and say, oh yeah, that person, and then go look them up on a streaming service and listening to it, because you probably don't have a CD player anymore. But anyway, as with when I recommended Return to Me, the movie, a while back, old friends. Yeah. Revisit your old friends. Quite a lot. Nice. Whether, when they've put out new stuff, or even if they haven't, just go back and listen. And, get money out of your music streaming services. Anyway, get your money's worth. And that is it for another week of Parenting Roundabout. If you missed any of our earlier episodes this week, look them up on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts to hear what we have to say about the college admissions process, our kids sharing too much information, and quiet quitting. You can also find all our episodes at parentingroundabout.com and talk back in the comments there, on our Facebook page, or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat. And please visit our Amazon shop at amazon.com/shop/momitude, where you can find links to a lot of the things we talk about. Have a great weekend, and see you back here on Monday.